The law of silence. Her words didn't tremble. They were deliberate, polished, rehearsed. I'm going back to my ex. I never really loved you. 14 years reduced to an afterthought, spoken at the kitchen table where we once shared burned toast and midnight coffee. I nodded, nothing more. My silence startled her. She expected rage, a storm, begging maybe. Instead, I offered her emptiness. That was the first fracture in her composure. She blinked too fast, pushed her glass of water away. Did you hear me? Yes. That was all. The next morning her lawyer called. His voice carried the sound of a man who'd seen something he couldn't unsee. The house, the accounts. He paused, as if his throat had been cut mid-sentence. My God, what did you tell her yesterday? I didn't answer. I let the silence fill the line until he whispered, She's unraveling. And I smiled, just slightly, because unraveling was exactly the point. I had felt the shift long before her confession. The way she lingered in the bathroom with her phone. The way her laughter sharpened when it wasn't meant for me. The perfume that clung to her long after work. Not the one she wore for me, but one I didn't recognize. I didn't chase her with questions. I don't chase. I observe. The ex-lover she spoke of wasn't a stranger. He was a name that once haunted our first years together. A ghost she claimed had been buried long ago. Toxic, she called him back then. A mistake. Mistakes don't usually resurface after 14 years. Not unless they were never mistakes at all. That night, while she slept beside me with the heavy stillness of someone confident in their lies, I stared at the ceiling. The truth pressed against my ribs like a blade waiting to be drawn. I realized something terrifyingly simple. She had been practicing her betrayal for years. Every smile, every kiss, every I love you, a carefully placed brick in the wall she intended to collapse on me. But she forgot something. I build walls for a living, and I know exactly where to pull when I want one to fall. I began with her phone, not by touching it, that would have been reckless. No, I watched her eyes, where they moved when it vibrated, how quickly she angled the screen away, the brief smile that curled when she thought I wasn't looking. I memorized every number that flashed. Late nights I traced calls, logged patterns. The ex was real, and he was consistent. Then I turned to the accounts, quietly, efficiently. Our firm handled real estate transactions that required discretion, and I knew the corridors money traveled through. Her withdrawals weren't careless. She had been shifting funds for months, preparing her exit, preparing to leave me with the shell of a life. I copied documents, quietly pulled deeds, shifted ownerships in ways only someone fluent in property law could. She thought she was leaving me. She didn't realize she'd been living inside a house I already made disappear from under her. When she spent hours on the phone whispering promises to her ghost, I spent hours signing documents with a still hand. She was moving toward freedom. I was quietly sealing her cage. The rage I carried never showed in my face. I gave her kindness, patience, the illusion of a man too numb to notice. Inside, though, I sharpened the blade of silence. The final evidence came in the form of an email, one I wasn't meant to see. Her ex wrote with the arrogance of a man reclaiming old property. Once you've drained him, we'll start over, like it should have been. Drained. That was the word. I printed it, folded it neatly, placed it in a plain envelope. The next evening I set it on the dining table as she served herself wine. No words. Just the envelope. She opened it, eyes scanning quickly, then stopping. Her hand trembled, spilling red across the table. You read this? I leaned back, calm, silent. Her breath stuttered, her pupils narrowing like a cornered animal. It's not what it looks like. The oldest lie in the book. I didn't bother replying. The silence itself was the verdict. 2 days later, her lawyer called me again. His voice cracked like old glass. She came in demanding access to accounts that don't exist anymore. The properties, the house, they're all under your name. She thought. He didn't finish. He didn't need to. I had already dismantled her escape before she even reached the door. When she confronted me that night, her rage was raw. "You ruined everything!" I looked at her calmly. "No, you ruined yourself." She paced, pulling her hair, eyes red with panic. "I gave you 14 years!" "No," I corrected. "You gave me lies. And now, they belong to you." She broke then. Not with tears, she wasn't the crying type, but with silence. A silence heavier than mine had ever been. When she confronted me that night, her rage was raw. "You ruined everything!" I looked at her calmly. "No, you ruined yourself." She paced, pulling her hair, eyes red with panic. "I gave you 14 years!" "No," I corrected. "You gave me lies. And now they belong to you." She broke then. Not with tears, she wasn't the crying type, but with silence. A silence heavier than mine had ever been. For the first time, she understood the cost of betrayal when the betrayed refuses to bleed. I slept well that night, better than I had in years. Her side of the bed was empty, but it had been empty long before she left. She just hadn't realized it. The lawyer called one last time. His tone was subdued, almost reverent. "She's finished." I've never seen anyone collapse so quickly. I thanked him, hung up, went back to work. There were contracts waiting, deals to close, walls to build and break. Life moved forward. She had tried to turn me into a casualty. Instead, she became a cautionary tale. And me? I was exactly what I had always been: patient, precise, untouchable. The law is cruel when wielded correctly. So is silence. She thought she had buried me, but in the end, it was her name carved on the gravestone of her own lies.